Good morning and welcome to the Ask Weldon Show, episode 228. This is the Ask Weldon Show. It's the show where my name is Weldon and I'm me and you ask questions. And so it's the Ask Weldon Show. Pardon me for being a little bit loopy. I have been awake for the last 38 hours, I think I calculated, almost 39 now. I woke up, so I haven't had a show since Friday because I took off on Friday morning and flew to Texas and went to the Southwest Research Institute's Human Performance Summit. International Human Performance Summit is their second year, and it was incredible. 2 days, all about human performance and optimal performance and performance science, which was a fantastic summit, and I heard a lot of cool information and met a lot of cool people. And then it was over on Sunday, and I boarded a plane Sunday night, 7-ish, after being at the conference all day. And I've been traveling ever since then to come back to Finland, and now it's Tuesday morning at 5 a.m. I just got back an hour and a half ago, and we're going to do the show. So sorry for the 4 days of no show. Let's kick it off again. Strong, we have 3 great questions today. The way that you get your questions on the show, where's my phone? So you take your phone, and you go find the Anchor app. Well, they have Android and iOS, so they both work. Anchor, like a ship, A-N-C-H-O-R. And then you can just search Weldon Green on the Anchor app. Weldon Green, that's my name. And you can go to my profile and just click send me a message. And then you just lift up your phone and you talk. And you get your question right here on the show. I'm behind a few days, so it'll probably take you 6 or 7 shows from today if you call it in now to get onto the show. And I broadcast the show every single day on Twitch, twitch.tv/mygamesweldon at 7:30, 6:30? I think it's 7:30 p.m. LA time now. It depends on the time zone change, whether they're on Pacific Daylight Time or Pacific Standard Time. With the time zone change and all that. So anyway, it's 4:30 a.m. Helsinki time, hard lock. So if you just look at whatever time it is in Helsinki, then you'll always know what time the show is. And yeah, when you call in the question with the Anchor app, by the way, it makes you sound pretty cool. So you'll hear on the questions today that there's some doctoring of the audio that the Anchor app does to make your little microphone on your phone sound like a super high quality studio mic like this one I have here. And yeah, you got a minute to put in your question, so do that. Let's get into today's show, which is called Changing Your Personality, Breaking Negative Expectations. I have 2 really good questions and 1 semi-good question to dig into. All right. So the first question is from John. Breaking the habit of negative expectations. Let's go into it.
Hey, Weldon. I want to ask you about worrying about all the things that could go wrong. I have a tendency to be pessimistic and imagine and believe all the worst case scenarios. Even something as simple as when I queue up for a solo queue, I think, oh, someone will dodge and I'll get auto-filled, or I'll get a toxic team, or we'll be in a winning position and then someone will throw. I know this is a negative mindset that I've developed over a long period of time because I often catch myself thinking this way. So my question is, what's the best way for me to start breaking this habit? Thank you.
All right. So, best way to break the habit of negative expectations. I think that to understand that rumination, first of all, rumination is not self, right? So that the things that you ruminate on and think about, we usually integrate with the self, with our consciousness, even though it's not really true. Like your consciousness is composed of a bunch of unconscious mental processes that we then, when you're doing nothing, you ruminate on. When you're doing something, you focus on that task, and all of those unconscious mental processes just kind of like populate away, and most of it fades away from memory. Some of it applies still to your like output, but most of it is not really embedded. And then when you're doing nothing, your brain is just like thinking about that and ruminating. So you could either distract yourself, which I don't recommend, or you could abstract yourself, and you could basically step back and you could look at yourself thinking those things. So instead of thinking those things and being the person who thinks those negative expectations, you step back and you're meta. And you're like, oh, look, I'm thinking that negative expectation. That's interesting. And you just pay attention, and then you're like, oh, now I'm thinking about now I'm looking at that thing over on the wall. Oh, now I have an itch. Oh, now I'm thinking about that negative expectation again. Oh, now the game is queuing up. Oh, here we go. So you just kind of like are going through that process of meta awareness of your thoughts. And I think that basically you're abstracting yourself from having those thoughts have any effect on you, just by kind of like recognizing them as unconscious cognitive processes that result in thoughts, and that's fine, and they are irrelevant to your reality. Sound good? Give it a shot, John. Okay, let's jump into question number 2. We're going to have a fast show today because if it doesn't end quickly, I might go over the edge from energy into, psychosis, like sleep deprivation or whatever, and then things will start to get a little weird. So let's just go on to question number 2 with Quentin. I think it's this one.
Hello, Weldon. Yeah. My name is Quentin, and I wanted to ask whether you would mind further expanding on what you said in episode number 223 about altering your own personality or character traits by using concentrated psychotherapy. Because I, for myself, know that I will immediately buy the book, but as you said yourself, there might be many other people to profit, so I would be glad if you could answer the question. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great show.
Okay, episode 223 was called Genetic Skill Cap, Poise, and Training in the Summer. 3 questions from Austin, John, and Victor about, do humans have a genetic skill cap? How does the average person develop poise? And now that I have summer break, how can I mix in high-volume training? And I don't remember if there's anything about personality in there. Maybe there was. And I don't remember what book either that I recommended. But let's just answer your question for today. So how do you change your personality with psychotherapy? First of all, your personality is pretty much continuously changing. The question is is it changing for the better? Is it changing rapidly for the better? Or is it changing very slowly over time based on your environment just to satisfy the needs of whatever the environment is imposing on you? Cognitive behavioral therapy. Psychotherapy, by the way, let's define terms here. Psychotherapy just means talking therapy, right? You can get drug therapy, you can get massage therapy, you can get physiotherapy, right? Psychotherapy is not, it sounds like a scary word, but it just means therapy done through talking, because we don't want to shove things in your brain and wiggle around like people used to do, or use electricity to shock you like they used to do, right? Nowadays, we've evolved a little bit. We decided not to do lobotomies. We decided not to do electrical shock therapy. So now we do, although some people still do that, now we do psychotherapy, which just means talking therapy, okay? So that's all that means. The most prevalent form of psychotherapy in my world that I am familiar with is CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. I think it's one of the most effective forms of psychotherapy. It's certainly the top of the evolutionary heap right now in terms of chronologically, right? So if you go back, you have, I'm a little too tired to go through the whole history of psychotherapy. Anyway, it starts kind of back with Freud, maybe in a little bit before him with Walter James. Is Walter James pre-Freud or post-Freud? Or contemporary? I don't even know. I don't know the history of psychology very well. I'm more interested in what we actually know right now and what we're going to know in a few years. Anyway, you start back with that kind of stuff, Oedipus complexes and ego and superego and id and all that nonsense and BS. And then you go to the operant conditioning world where you have Skinner and people are doing therapy trying to train you like a dog or whatever. Then we get more into those are the behaviorists, I think. Then you get more into we have thoughts, yay. Anyway, cognitive behavioral is basically what we have now, the best way that we understand the brain currently, and it basically says what you think impacts what you do, and what you do impacts what you think, and so you should work on both of those things together, and you should set goals, and you should talk through your problems, and that it's not necessarily that you should satisfy the urges that you have. Like if you have an urge to not work, but you want the value out of the work that you're going to do, then you should force yourself to work even though you're not motivated, and then you get the benefit from that, and then you're happier, right? So it doesn't say satisfy your feelings, but it also says don't ignore your feelings, that if you're motivated by something, then you should probably pursue that thing, because it will help inspire you and satisfy you, right? So it works a little bit along the basic needs things like that. So yeah, essentially you can get a cognitive behavioral therapist and they can take you through that, and you can just work on yourself. But you can also change your personality through meditation. Try that as well. Mindfulness meditation. Okay, question number 3. From Lux.
Hi, Weldon. So, I can only play League for about 6 hours, and in this time, for some reason, I can only play one game. If I win, I feel good, and I don't want to jeopardize this feeling, and if I lose, I just feel awful and close the game right away. So, can you give me some insight of why do I feel like this? Why I cannot grind so many games? Why I just feel tired after playing one game, and doesn't even matter if I win or lose. I'm also a Renekton Gangplank main from Brazil. Don't know if that's relevant or not, but anyway, thanks.
Okay, thank you for the great question. So, essentially, you're fixated too much on the past, right? You have this, the past or the future, actually. I think, like when you're frozen in unmoving stasis, when you're in a place where essentially you're afraid to queue up again, right? Because you're afraid of like what is going to happen. Am I going to win or am I going to lose? Am I going to feel worse? Am I going to lose this sensation of feeling good? And I think that when you're frozen in the act of in the space of inaction, out of just like complete and utter fear of the future, that a lot of it is associated with this like fixation with the future and the past, and this rumination that you have when you're doing nothing, that you just think these things, right? So the most important thing that you can do is focus on the present moment and try to get in tap with not your reactions and emotions that came from the previous game, trying to move past them, and not your fears and consequences about like what might happen and what you expect to happen in the future, but just focusing on the present moment and trying to ask yourself, like, what do you actually want to do right now? Maybe it's go outside for a walk. Maybe you want to eat a ice cream bar. Maybe you want to go watch a Netflix special. Like maybe you want to talk to your brother. I don't know. But whatever it is, you just focus on yourself in the present, and you think like, what is most interesting to you to have your fingers and your hands and your body and your mind be doing right now, and just try to do something and not sit. And if it happens to not be the game, that's great. Like maybe you're just avoiding a really stressful, anxiety-driven situation that you don't need to be a part of. Like if League is that stressful and anxiety-riding for you, then it makes sense to me that you would play your game, get into your anxiety state, and then use that as training to cope with it. So you would essentially focus on serving your psychological needs in the present to get out of your anxiety state by not giving into those emotions and just kind of like doing something healthy and satisfying to you, whether it's to play another League game or to go out for a walk or to make a YouTube video or something creative, something that can draw you into the process and get your brain out of this rumination factor and into doing something actionable, Now, the way that I solved this, because let me tell you, I had the same exact problem as you. I used to not be able to stop playing, actually. I would keep playing because I could never end on a bad note. I would just have this like frustration with the game that I played, and even when I was winning, it wasn't like winning enough for me. So I always wanted to play another one and really carry, like the 42-0 Ezreal super hyper carry game or whatever. And sometimes I would even play like a super easy normal game instead of a ranked game just so I could get that carry feeling. But then if I lost that game, then I'd have to play another one. So it got to be really bad and unhealthy. So I hard limited myself to 2 games, cutting down. And I worked a lot on my mindfulness training afterwards to focus on the present moment and not ruminate on the past and my emotions that I feel, but to drag my mind out of that and focus on the present. And I did that with an app called Headspace. You can do that with Headspace or with the Mac program, which is basically a clone of Headspace specifically for esport with more lectures in it. So Headspace is just the meditation. My app is it's a bunch of online videos, is the lectures plus the meditation in the middle. And it's essentially based on this journey that I went through, and that I used the Mac for as I was kind of like learning it myself to do this to me. And you might have to do the opposite of me. Whereas I was playing too many games and limiting down, you might have to raise up your bar. Be like, force yourself to play 3 games, but with a break in between where you do mindfulness and you try to move past it and enter the new game with a fresh reset mindset. And the reset comes from focusing so hard on the present that like your mind is just pulled out of the morassy swamp of your previous game. That's what I recommend. You can, by the way, check out the Mac program. If you want, mindgames.gg/MAC, it's $25. Use the code AskWeldon to get that price. You have to use the code AskWeldon on that website. Headspace has a 10-episode free trial, I think, or a 7-episode free trial where you have like 7 sessions where you can do them free. So you can check that out too. Headspace is the app. I really recommend it because I used it a lot. I'm going to stop recommending it soon because I'm going to have my own app. It's in development, but that's a whole nother story. Okay. That's the show for you today, guys. Hope that answer was helpful for you, Lukes, and I will see you guys soon on the stream. And YouTube, I will see you soon on the stream. Please come to twitch.tv/mindgamesweldon and catch the show live, and I will and check out the Mac program yourselves too, not just Luke's. This is for all of everybody. Thanks for your attention. Share this video, like it, hit subscribe. What are all the stupid things YouTubers have to say? And anyway, it doesn't matter because you never do them. So catch you later. Bye, YouTube.